Hey everybody, Ryan here. So Gaijin has just released this roadmap update about the grouping of tech tree vehicles, rank changes, and improvements. Now I'm not going to read a whole lot of this post in detail, but what I will do is go directly to these tech trees that they have created, which are not going to be implemented until the next major update, and just make a review of them and tell you guys what I think, because there's some changes in there that I do not agree with. There's some very odd changes. So without dwelling on nothing for too long, let's just get straight into the tech trees, beginning and focusing mainly on ground and starting with the USA tech tree. So one thing that they mentioned in the news post is that they're going to be uncoupling all rank 1 vehicles from rank 2. And that's going to be a consistent theme across every nation. And it just gives newer players a little bit more agency on where they want to go if they weren't really happy with where they started. Okay, the first thing that I notice is that for some reason the M3 and M3A1 stewards aren't folded. And that's not just because it's rank 1. Later when you see the German tree, you'll see there's plenty of foldering in rank 1. And the next thing that is immediately obvious is the M4A3-105 has been moved from after the M22, I believe, to the tank destroyer tree before the M10 GMC. Ah yes, and also not to be forgotten, the M8A1 GMC is now a rank 2 premium. And now the M4A1, M4, and M4A2 Shermans are all folded into one, which will mean that the M4 and M4A2 will have their research requirement reduced by half, which is pretty much the second main change they're making with this update, is that folded vehicles will have a reduced research cost. The M18 GMC is no longer in the tank destroyer line, which, it makes sense to me. It's fair enough. It is classified as a light tank, so now it's in the light tank line. And the M36 GMC and M36B2 are now folded and have been moved down to rank 3 from rank 4 because there's no other 5.7s in rank 4. And the M6A1 and T1E1 are now folded, as well as the M4A2 and M4A3 76W Shermans. And before moving out of rank 3, honestly, I think they could folder the M19A1 and M42 as well. Because later on, you'll see there are a lot of very questionable folderings, and I think this would not be a stretch whatsoever. And now in rank 4, the first thing you will notice is that the M56 and M50 are no longer in the light tank line. Oh, also the M50 used to be rank 5 and now it's rank 4, which again does make sense because these are the 6.7 vehicles. There is nothing 6.7 in rank 5. And now the T92 comes right after the M41A1. The new M4 T26 is now folded with the T25, and the T26E5 and T26E1-1 Super Pershing are now folded. And also the T20 is now rank 4 instead of rank 3. And now this one's interesting too. The M46 Pershing is now rank 4 and is no longer folded with the M47. Now, I don't really see why they felt it was necessary to move the M46 out of rank 5, but I guess making it more in line with the premium M46 Tiger makes a bit of sense. However, what doesn't really make sense to me is the M47 being grouped with the M48A1. But that's just me. What do you guys think about that? Anyways, moving on to rank 6. The biggest changes here are mostly moving of vehicles into rank 7. However, the M60A1 AOS and Rise Passive are also now folded. And as for the moved vehicles, that includes the M3A3 Bradley, the M1 Abrams, LAV-AD, M1128 Wolfpack, M1 KVT, AGS, and CCVL, all being moved from rank 6 to rank 7. Now here's where my confusion begins. So the M1 Abrams is by itself. The M1A1 and IPM1 are folded, and the M1A2 and M1A2 SEP are also folded. Which this makes sense, this does not make sense to me. And even more weirdly, the M1A1HC now comes after the M60A3 TTS. Now, in my opinion, I believe the M1 Abrams and IPM1 should be folded, M1A1 and M1A1HC should be folded, and then the M1A2s, of course, folded. I don't really understand why the HC was necessary to be moved to the end of the M60 line. And the only thing I can really think of is the loose relation to having ERA and active protection system on the HC. So I hope Gaijin might revisit that because I think the foldering that I mentioned will make more sense. Anyways, continuing on to Germany. Okay, there's a lot of interesting rearrangements to be seen here. What is this? Martyr 3H foldered with Sto 42 and Stug 3? What? That makes no sense. What? Okay, anyways, back to the beginning. Okay, there's some rather large changes here, including, what is all this? And let me just try to make sense of all of this. Okay, so the vehicles that were in the left line, the tank destroyer line in rank 1, were all moved over to the right side and foldered in very strange ways. And now the Panzer 35T and Panzer 38T-A. What? Wow, this is just weird. I'm actually struggling to understand what's going on here because there's so many changes that make no sense. Hold on, let me just start with the vehicles that were moved out of rank 2 for some reason. The Martyr 3 is now rank 1, the Panzer 38T-NA is now rank 1, and the SDKFC 62 AA is now rank 1. I guess the 62 makes sense because it is 1.7, but the Martyr 3... it makes 0 sense to me, and the NA also makes 0 sense. And for some reason, they unfoldered the Panzer III F and J, even though they were foldered before. Am I missing something, that this is unfinished? Or it was not really explicitly said that this was fully unfinished, which is what it seems like now, because this is... I think they got to refolder the F and the J. They got to take the NA back to rank 2 and folder the A and F again like they had it. I think the moving of the TDs around makes some sense, but the Martyr 3 needs to go back into rank 2 and be foldered with the Martyr 3H because it does not belong with the Sto 42 and the Stug 3F. That just, I do not understand. And then the Panzerjäger 1 is foldered with the 251/9. I guess that's cool. But the 15 centimeter SIG being foldered with the 221. If anything, you would folder the 15 centimeter with the 251-9 and the Panzerjäger with the 221. That's pretty much what you do. Anyways, the Flak Panzer 1 and 38 are foldered. That's fine. The 222 is still not a light tank, even though it really should be, and so it is still where it is. And now the Panzer IV-C is the first in line vehicle before the Panzer II-C and F, which is very interesting. And now also the Panzer IV-E and F1 are in a folder together in rank 1, where the F1 used to be in rank 2. Very interesting things going on here. And so the weirdness just continues. The Sturr Emil and the 88 centimeter Flak bus are foldered together. I don't really know why those two would be foldered together. And then the Nashorn and the Waffentrager are foldered. That's fine. That's fine. And the Jagdpanzer 4 and 38T Hetzer are also foldered together. I guess it's okay. I'm just going to move on from that. And then we have the Tiger H1 and the Tiger E not in a folder, which I would have expected to be in a folder. That's weird. And then for premium vehicles moving around, we have the T-34 747 moving down to rank 2. The Ersatz M10 is moving up to rank 4. Ah, yes, of course, the Waffentrager has been moved to rank 3 for its foldering. Now, here's another thing that I guess I would have personally expected to be foldered is the Tiger 2P and H. Interesting. So the Jagdpanther G1 and Jagdpanzer 4-5 are in a folder. I can't really say that I would have expected that one. Anyways, the Ferdinand and Jagdtiger are in a folder now. That makes enough sense to be valid. And the Panther A, Panther G, and itself. And now the Kugelblitz is in rank 4. I don't know, maybe we'll see it going back to 6, 7. With all of these changes, I would expect them to drop some more further BR changes with this update, but we'll see. Oh, and one thing that I almost missed is the Tiger 105 is moving down from rank 5 to rank 4. And now getting into rank 5, we have another strange choice. So the Martyr A1- and German BMP are in a folder together, and the Martyr 1A3 and DF 105 are in a folder together. Just folder the Martyrs together, bro. You don't need to keep them in some weird order like this. It's very strange. And so here's kind of a weird idea maybe, but it might work. Since there's missile carriers mostly at the end of the right side tank destroyer line, what if they moved the Martyrs over to the right? I think that would make more sense. Then they could just move the two Martyrs over there and folder them, and it would be all said and done. I don't know if they would put it before the Raketen Automat or in between the two or after, and then probably just leave the DF 105 and the BMP separated. And not much else is different in that regard, aside from another thing I didn't notice is the Jagdtiger going down from rank 5 to rank 4. And now the Tech Tree Tam and Jagdpanzer Cuirassier A2 are in a folder together, which does make some sense because they're both Argentinian, but it's a bit of a stretch. I don't know. I'm just going to leave that one alone. And now the Kampfpanzer 70 and M48 Super are in a folder together. I think it would maybe make more sense to folder the M48 A2GA2 with the M48 Super, but I digress. And a whole bunch of stuff was moved out of rank 6 and into rank 7, starting with the Radkampfwagen 90, Leopard 2K, Leopard 2A4, Ocelot and Gepard 1A2, and Weissel 1A2, and the Puma, as well as the Leopard 2 Panzer Battalion and PT-16 T14 and Leopard 2AV. And to just round things off before I begin criticizing what is going on, the Leopard 2A5 and 2A6 have been foldered. Okay, so here's what I think would make a little more sense. So, folder the M48s together and move the KPZ after the T72 M1. I think that would make a lot more sense thematically because then you get the two M48s, T72, then the KPZ and Leopard 2K, which are both prototypes, because the T72 really has nothing to do with the 2K or the KPZ, so putting them right in the middle of those two does not make a lot of sense. Foldering the Ocelot and Gepard 1A2, I guess it makes sense. You know, personally, I would probably put the Gepard 1A2 at the beginning of the folder and then the Ocelot after it, but it's kind of a mixed bag because then you give one vehicle the reduced RP cost and the other one is full cost. But I feel like the Gepard 1A2 is more useful anyways, so it should be first. And at that point, I mean, you could put the Ocelot back into rank 6. Also, the Leopard 2K moving over to the export heavy tank line, I guess it makes sense. Anyways, then there's the Radkampfwagen 90 and TAM2C folder. I do not understand. I guess their requirements were to just folder things at all costs. And to be fair, it wouldn't really make sense to folder either of these vehicles in with the Puma. Holy bud. Okay, well, moving on to the Russian tech tree. I'm confused why none of the BTs are foldered. If their goal is to folder a lot of things. And another very interesting one is the T28, which used to be foldered with the T28E in rank 2, is now rank 1 after the 1938, which is after the T26. And the T26-4 used to be after the T26, which is now before the T60 and T70. And the only other thing that I notice in rank 1 is that the M3 medium has been moved to rank 2, which makes a lot of sense because that's where it is in the US tech tree. Now for rank 2 tech tree, the ZIS-30 and SU-57B are foldered. And now the SU-122 comes after the ZIS-30 folder. And let's see here, the T-34, 1940 and 41 folder is the same, but now the STZ has been grouped with the 1942. Once again, the T28E folder was separated. I'm not really sure why you wouldn't just folder the 1938 and T28. And the KV-1 L11 and KV-2 are now foldered together. That's fine. And let's see, the ZIS-12 94 with the twin 25s and the ZIS-43 are in a folder now. I feel like it might have made more sense to folder the GAZ with the ZIS-12. This is not particularly problematic, is how I'll label that. Now in rank 3, we have the KV-1 ZIS-5 being foldered with the KV-85. Ah, yes, the ZIS-43 is now rank 2, no longer rank 3. Didn't notice that. Okay, this is confusing. So now instead of the SU-152, ISU-152 folder, the SU-85 has been shoehorned into the middle of it, and the SU-85M is now foldered with the ISU-122. I'm going to be honest here, I think they should have just left it how it was, with the 152s foldered, the 85s foldered, and the 122 just kind of chilling. I think they should have just not touched that. So let's see, a summary of changes that are happening in the premium section for this. KV-220 is moving up from rank 3 to rank 4. The T5 Panther thingy is moving from rank 3 to rank 4 as well. And I believe that's it, other than the IS-6 now going from rank 4 to rank 5, which makes a lot of sense, as well as the PT-7657, which I've been asking for a long time. That is now rank 5, where it should be. Anyways, now rank 4 tech tree. The 122S is foldered with the SU-100, and as far as I can tell, the only other thing is the T-44-100 has now been moved to rank 5, which does make sense considering that there are 7.0 vehicles in here. And curiously, the SU-122-54 and Object 268 are still in rank 5, still presumably at 6.7. I think these could be reasonably foldered together. That is not a BMP-2D, my friend. That is an Object 685. Why would those be foldered together? Anyways, now moving into rank 5, the T54, 1947, 1949, and 1951 are now all in a folder, and they are chronologically in order. Yay, brain happy. Now for some additional strangeness, the BMP-1 and Object 906 are now in a folder. I'm not sure that was really needed. I think it would make much more sense to move the Object 906 to rank 6 and folder it with the Object 685. And then the BMP-2 and the BMP-3 could be folded together. But then they did the weird thing where they nerfed the 2S25 by moving it from rank 7 to rank 6 and then foldering it with the BMP-3, which I mean, they're on a similar chassis. I believe they are based on the same chassis. They're just not the same in any way. And the 2S25 now will have no access to a thermal scout drone because it was a 9.3 vehicle in rank 7. I think they should have just left the 2S25 in rank 7 and folded it with the 2S25M. Just move the 906 up, do the foldering with the BMP-2 and BMP-3, like I said. I think that would make more sense. Oh, and also the ZSU-37-2 Yenisei has been moved down from rank 6 to rank 5. And also the IS-7 was moved to rank 6. And now let's see, T62 folder is normal, T55A and AMD-1 are now folded, which is cool, nice to see. And the T64s are also folded. Also worth noting is that the T72 and T80B have been moved from rank 6 to rank 7. This is mostly unchanged, but the big changes are in the premium section, with the T72AV terms T, 2S38, BMP-2M, and T72M2 Moderna being moved up from rank 6 to rank 7, which is definitely fair enough considering that they moved the other 10-0s, 10-3s up to rank 7. Okay, Russia is done. Moving on to Great Britain. Let's see what they've done here. I don't expect too much to be different initially, and yes, there have been no changes made to rank 1 other than the decoupling. Now, the Crusader folder is normal, the Cromwell folder, Valentine folder. I mean, you could folder the Sark 2-pounder and 6-pounder. That could be valid. Okay, the Crusader AA, Mark 1, and AEC have changed places, and nothing else is different in rank 2 except for the premiums being slightly rearranged. Now for rank 3, we have the Churchill 3 and Churchill NA75 being folded, and the Challenger and Comet 1 being folded. You know, sure, they're similar. And the Istervark and Crusader AA Mark 2 also being folded. You know, I feel like they could have just folded the Istervark and the Bosvark, and that would make a lot more sense and just be much more thematically in line. Yeah, not many changes here. Moving straight in to rank 4. First thing I notice is the Carnarvon has been moved to rank 5 and folded with the Conqueror, and the Tortoise and the Conway are now folded. Interesting. I would expect them to folder the FV4005 and Conway instead. Interesting. Okay, so they folded the Ratel 90 and Ratel 20, and then the G6 and Eland 90. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like they should have just folded the Eland in with the Ratels. I think they're just trying to keep some semblance of BR progression because it does still go 6.0, 6.7, 7.0, 7.3. I think at this point, if they want to commit to doing the foldering, they need to not be so married to the BR progression because there's going to be a lot of things folded together that just make no sense if they continue doing it that way, which is why I believe the Conway is folded with the Tortoise, because otherwise it would be a 6.3 folded with a 7.0 with a 6.7 after it. Which, like, I don't know, what do you guys think? Should they just be completely decoupled from that concept, or should they continue doing it like this? Because I feel like they should just folder things more thematically and by shared chassis and things like that, instead of foldering by BR progression. Because it just makes it feel a little bit awkward. Oh, and also the Ratel 20 has been moved, and nothing else has changed here other than a bit of rearrangement in the premium tree once again. Now in rank 5, the first thing I notice is the Vickers Mark III has been moved to rank 6. The Striker has been moved to rank 6 as well and is now the end of the tree vehicle after the Warrior and ZT3A2 folder. Very strange. Very strange. I don't really know what else to suggest, and so I'll just... Really? Hold on, really? They folded the Roycott Mark 1D with the Oliphant Mark 1A and the Roycott MTTD with the Oliphant Mark 2. You know, again, this is just one of those BR progression things that they want to keep doing because this is an 8.3 to an 8.7 to a 9.0 to a 9.3. Once again, I feel like they just got to decouple from that. They got to put the Roycats together. They got to put the Oliphants together. It's just how it should be, I think. Okay, and the Vijayanta has also been moved from rank 5 to 6, which is cool. The Chieftain Marksman and ZA 35 have been foldered. You know, not the worst change ever. Still very questionable about the Warrior ZT3 folder. I'm not really sure. I mean, the Striker could very well have just remained in rank 5. Interesting too. Did they move? Oh yes, so the Centurion Mark 10 now would come after the Carnarvon Conqueror folder, whereas before it was the first vehicle in rank 5. Interesting. And the rest of rank 6 is generally the same. So the Vickers Mark 7 is now rank 7, which does make sense considering what changes were done to the other nations. The Challenger Mark II and Mark III are in a folder. The juicy stuff. Are you ready for the juicy stuff? We can't even see the juicy stuff. It cuts off of the screen. Anyways, the Challenger 2, Challenger 2 2F, and Challenger 2 Tess, I would assume, are now in the same folder. And the Challenger 2 Black Knight and Challenger 2E are also in a folder, which is great, because that was one of the most bloated areas of any tech tree, and now it's a lot better. Okay, so that's Great Britain. Now moving on to Japan. Nothing has even been rearranged in the rank 1 other than the Chihakai tournament being moved from rank 1 to rank 2, which makes sense because the Chihakai is in rank 2 itself. And the only change I can notice at the beginning is the Honi 1 and 3 are in a folder now, which does make sense. Now the Chinu, interestingly, is rank 3. That's going to be cool for a lot of people. I know there's a lot of Chinu enjoyers out there. And now there is a Cheeto and Cheeto Late folder. Heavy Tank number 6 has been moved over to rank 4, which is interesting because the Tiger H1 and E are both rank 3. So I'm not sure why they did that. Additionally, they have moved the M4A376W Jazdiff from rank 3 to rank 4. Let me just double check here that. So this is a rank 3 vehicle in the USA tech tree, and now it's going to be a rank 4. Does not make any sense. Again, same feedback from the USA tree. I think they could folder these two AAs. Wow, I don't even need to scroll to get to the bottom of this. Okay, let's see what's going on with rank 4. In rank 4, we have the standard STA folder and then Type 61 STA3. That's fine. They're very similar vehicles. Nothing else has been foldered. The MLRS has been moved to rank 5. And then the Type 60s have been foldered together with the SPRG and the ATM as well. The ATM has been moved out of rank 5 into rank 4 in the folder. And for the rest of rank 5, the Type 87 RCV has been moved to rank 6 and foldered with the Type 89. I feel like they could have kept the RCV in rank 5 and just folded it with the prototype and left the Type 89 alone, but, I guess. Just like the STB-1 and Type 74C being foldered, very similar vehicles. Type 74E and F being foldered in rank 6, and the Type 90s and Type 10 and TKX also being foldered. Generally acceptable changes in Japan other than the Sherman and the Tiger. Not really sure what's going on there. And now for the Chinese tech tree, nothing is different in rank 1. And in rank 2, the only change I notice is the T-34 1943 has been moved into rank 3 and foldered with the M4A175W. And the M24 Chaffee, even though it is rank 3 in Japan, has still not been moved to rank 3 in any other nation. Makes sense, Gaijin. Makes sense. Nothing is different in rank 3 other than the Sherman T-34 folder. And for rank 4, we have the M18 GMC being moved from the tank destroyer line over to the light tank line. And the Type 63I and Type 62 are now in a folder. Not the worst change. The IS-2s have been foldered. The T-3485s have been foldered. Now here is an interesting folder. They have the M36 GMC and the ISU-122 foldered together. I feel like they could have just foldered the ISU with the SU-100. Again, they're trying to hold on to the BR progression steps thing, which I think they should they got to figure out something else. And then for premiums, the M64, which is almost identical in performance to the M18 GMC, is being moved from rank 4 to rank 3. I think they should just keep that where it is. It's the same BR as the M18, and it does the same stuff. So now in rank 5, we have the ZTS 63 and ZBD 86 being foldered. I guess that's fine. Type 59 and Type 69 being foldered. That also makes a lot of sense. Nothing else is different there, other than finally the PTL being moved to rank 6. However, it is being foldered in a very strange way, I think. So the CM25 and PTZ89 are now foldered, and the PTL02 and AFT09 are now foldered. I would be inclined to have the two ATGM vehicles be foldered, and then have the PTL and the PTZ just be separate probably in this order. So the CM25 folded with the AFT, and then the PTZ, and then the PTL, which leads to the ZLT11. I feel like they should do it that way. I know these two are wheeled, so they have some similarity. These two are tracked. It just doesn't make my brain happy. Oh, and also the M48A1 was moved from the light tank line to before the Type 59 folder. So the ZTZ88s have been folded, which does, of course, make sense. And the ZTZ96A has been moved to rank 7, as well as the QN506 and the premium ZTZ96A. And then here's the most confusing change for me. The WZ1001 has been moved from after the ZTZ99A to being after the CM11. I don't know why that needs to happen. I think they should just folder the WZ and the ZTZ99A together. And of course, the 99.2 and 3 have been folded, which of course makes sense. Okay, China, on to Italy. I don't believe anything is different so far in rank 1. Okay, so for some reason, the M1542 has been folded with the Panzer IIIN. I don't know why that needs to happen. If anything, you would just folder it with the P40. And let's see, the 75mm casemate tank destroyer folders have been adjusted. So now previously it was the 7518 and the 75 M32 in a folder together, and now the 7534 has been moved into the end of that folder where it used to be between these two, and then these two, the 105 and the M43, God, I hate these names, are still folded in the same way as before. The Contrario has been moved from rank 2 to rank 3, and the M24 Chaffee has been moved to rank 3. Now we're going to have 2 Chafees at rank 3 and 2 Chafees at rank 2. Gaijin, please move the Chafees all in the same rank. Gaijin, please. I beg. Okay. Anyways, so in rank 3, we have another interesting decision. The 9053 has been folded with the Stug 3. Feel like it would make a lot more sense to just folder the Stug 3 with the 75 M46. But again, I think they're trying to preserve the BR progression. The Sherman 5C has been moved to rank 4. The R3T20 has been moved to rank 4 as well, including the M18. Hold on. Is the M18... Nope. In the USA tech tree, the M18 is rank 3. Why are these vehicles being moved around in such quirked up ways? Anyways, the Obel 74 and Fiat have been folded. That makes sense. So the only changes in rank 5 are the Saddam 25 and M113A1 being moved from rank 5 to rank 6. Interesting. Hold on. There's a lot of... Hold on here. So the M113A1 in the Chinese tree is rank 5. Makes sense, but then it's going to be rank 6 in the Italian tree. Okay, I think I see what they might be doing here. Because it would have no lineup with any of the vehicles in rank 5, because this is 8.0, this is 8.0, these are all 8.0, except for this is 7.7, this is 6.7, or 7.0 now. It would have no lineup. I think that's what they're trying to do. It's not like it's 100% illogical. And then rather large changes in rank 6. We have the first thing I notice is the Ariete P is moving out into rank 7, and so is the Dardo, which is now folded with the VCC 8030. And then also the VCC 8060 has been moved from after the Centauro 105 Romor to being before the Centauro folder with the 105 and Romor. And then of course the Ariete PSO and regular Ariete are in a folder together, and the AMV is standalone. That makes sense. Moving on to France. Nothing is different in rank 1. Interestingly, we have the B1 BIS and the Char 2C being in a folder together, and the M4A3 105 being moved over to the tank destroyer line, just like in the US tree, and nothing else there. So in rank 3, interestingly though, the AMX13 DCA has been moved down from rank 4 to rank 3. The EBR 1954 is finally moving up to rank 4, as it should, being 6.7. Oh, interesting. Now, these are some big changes in rank 4. The AML 90 is now rank 5. Is that consistent? Because the Ratel, the Eland is rank 4, even though they are the same vehicles. It is rank 4 in Britain. It is also rank 4 in Israel. Can we just have vehicles that are exactly the same, be at the same rank? And let's see. So the Char 25T, AML 90, Lorraine 40T, AMX 50, TOA 100, and the EBR 1963, Samoa SM, and the Battle Pass AMX 50 TO 90 have all been moved out of rank 4 into rank 5. So rank 5 is now stacked. And the only other change is the CA Lorraine and ELC BIS are now folded. Now, getting into rank 5, we have the Lorraine 40T and Char 25T in a folder. I feel like they could have just folded the Char with the AMX 1390, that being the Char 25 being the first vehicle in the folder and the AMX 1390 being foldered with it. I don't know why you would folder a light tank with a medium tank. And the AMX 50 TOA 100 is not foldered with the Cerbis A. You would expect them to continue the funny foldering, wouldn't you? Anyway, so I think the AML 90 should just go back down, or it should be, again, they're trying to have it so you can have a lineup within the rank, because the AML 90 would have no friends in rank 4, so I see what they're trying to do. I just don't think it makes sense. So the AMX 30 1972 is still here, and now let's begin on rank 6. So first off, we have the Mars 15 foldered with the AMX 13 Hot, and the AMX 10 RC foldered with the SK 105 A2. AMX 30 B2 foldered with the Brennus, which makes sense. AMX 32s folded together, and basically the Mephisto swapped places with the SK 105 A2. And also, of course, the AMX 10 RC was moved to the light tank line, which does, of course, make sense. These vehicles are a lot of the times classed as a tank destroyer when they are really a light tank. And then the Leclerc S1 and S2 were folded together, which does make sense. The S21 is still on its lonesome, though. So let's see. I feel like they could make this make more sense, but it's not the most egregious thing I've ever seen. I would be inclined to folder the SK105 and the AMX 13 Hot together. It's a weird collection of 4 vehicles, and them being folder is not the end of the world, but it is kind of strange. So I'm just going to move on from that one into Sweden. Oh, wow, that's a short tree now. The one, okay. We're already getting weird. The IKV 72 and BT 42 have switched places. I wouldn't really say that makes a whole lot of sense, considering the BT 42 is a howitzer type cannon, and you get a bunch of those in line here. And then the IKV one, interesting. Anyway, so rank 2, nothing has been foldered. The only thing that has been moved is the SAV 2012, which has been moved from rank 2 to rank 3. That's going to be nasty. And then for rank 3, we have the first foldering, which is the PVKV M43 1946 being folded with the IKV 103, which the IKV used to be behind the PVKV 2, which I would guess they're making room for the PVKV 4. The T34 and Panzer have been folded together, which, makes enough sense. And then the PT76 and Comet 1 have been folded together. I feel like if they really wanted to move the IKV over to this tree, they should have just folded the 2 PVKVs together, even though the BR progression would have been a little bit off. Okay, so I just checked. The Comet is rank 3 in the British tree, and it used to be rank 4 in the Swedish tree. It used to be right here before the T34. I was going to say maybe they should have folded the Comet with the Charioteer instead, because I saw it was in rank 4, but this does make sense, making it consistent across the nations and vehicles. And now rank 4 is even more scarce because these Strizvang 81 and IKV 91 have been moved up from rank 4 to rank 5, as well as the RB52 Premium, and that's it for rank 4. So in rank 5, some interesting things begin here. I gotta say, Gaijin, can we not folder a Centurion and a Cheese Wedge together? Can we just folder the 2 Centurions together and have the Cheese Wedge after it? And that's about it here, other than some swaps with rank 6. So the ITPS V and VEEK 40 have been swapped. They used to be in their respective opposite positions. And the UDES 33 used to be where the PVRBV 551 is, and it was moved into a folder with the PBV 302 bill. That makes plenty of sense. And now, once again, we have the Centurion being foldered with a Cheese Wedge. Please, Gaijin, just folder the 104 and the 105. I would appreciate that. It would make my brain happy. Let's see, the CV9030 Finn and 9040B have been folded together. That's pretty cool. And the CV90-105 and CTCV-105HP have been moved out of rank 6 and into rank 7, which does bode well for the CT, because I think that thing should go up in BR and get a different shell. Oh, interesting. So now the LVKV-9040C has been moved up into rank 7 and folded with the Azrat R. But I guess it does make some sense to move it to rank 7 in the first place, because they also moved the 9040C, which is 10-0. They're both 10-0. Wow, some people's grind for the 122 PLSS is going to get a lot easier soon, because it's now folded with the 122A, which, if you forgot, will make it half cost for researching. That is crazy. And of course, the 121 and 2A4 have been moved up to rank 7, as with the other trees having their 10-3s moved up. Honestly, I would have expected them to folder the T55M and the T72M1 together as well. Anyways, yes, fix the 104 and 105 foldering. I don't really like the Azrad being with the 9040C, but it's not the worst thing ever. I mean, cheaper research is always nice, but does not make my brain very happy. Anyways, that is Sweden. Now for the final one, Israel. Man, that's a small tree. It's not the size that matters though, boys. Of course, the Magash tree has been compressed significantly. Now the 1 and 2 are foldered. The 3 and 6 are foldered. The 6A and 5 are foldered. I don't know why they wouldn't just folder the 3, 5, and then 6 and 6A. But I think, again, it's their BR progression nonsense where they're just way too married to that. And then the 6R, 6B, and Hydra are in a folder together. Wow. 6M and 6C are in a folder, and the Galbatash and the 7C are in a folder, which I personally think they should switch the Galbatash and the 7C in this arrangement because the Galbatash is just better than the 7C. And no other changes here except for the ZSU 57-2 being moved to rank 4. Interesting. I don't recall it is rank 5 in the Russian tree. Interesting. So for some reason, they're moving the 57-2 down, I guess because it has no lineup. Once again, it is based in some kind of critical thinking. There's something going on here. Anyways, Tehran 4s have been foldered. That's great. The Merkava Mark 1B and 2B have been foldered. The Mark 3B and 3C have been moved up to rank 7, which makes sense considering they're now 11.0. And the 4B and LIC have been foldered, and the 4M is just by its lonesome. So overall, just to review, I think they're doing good things here. They're also going to be increasing the prices for the premium vehicles that did move up in rank. So there's that little tidbit. I think I might do an aviation overview as well in a separate video. So let me know if you guys want to see that. I'm not really hugely familiar with planes, but there are some interesting things such as this. So let me know if you want to see that. Anyways, that's pretty much the video. It's just me doing a read along of the changes in the tech trees. And I'll see you in the next one. I swear I'm going to make a gameplay video again. It's just, we will see. Anyways, bye.